We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And we've got our own everything theater stuff to quick get out of the way. So I'm not coming to you from my regular studio because I'm currently appearing in Sheer Madness up at the Lake George Dinner Theater. And I'm staying up here. I've got a lovely place to stay a couple of nights. So my new environs for the show. And Ellen, as we are recording, is about to open. Take it away, Ellen.
The complete works of William Shakespeare abridged at Schenectady Light Opera Company, better known as SLOC. We run until July 23rd. It's a fun time. It's a goofy show.
So go see Ellen, and then we run until August 26th. So then come up north and enjoy yourself. But you always enjoy yourself no matter what, especially right now. If you're in the immediate Albany area, you have an opportunity to so enjoy yourself with Honky Tonk Angels at Capital Rep. And we've got the artistic producing director, queen of it all, Maggie Mancinelli-Cahill with us. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, I'm glad you recognized all my titles there.
Did
Yeah.
we miss any?
No, I think that's very important. You got Queen in, so I'm fine. I'm good.
So summer shows have always been fun for you folks. You know, there's Durman Strong during the summer. This is light. It's fun. It's a woman's story. Give us the, I guess, the 360 on how you came to choose it.
Well, the summer is the time when we feel that we can have fun because in other times of the year, although I think all theater is fun, you know me well enough to know that, but we don't always do musicals. We do non-musical plays that I think great substance. But in the summer, it's our time to let our hair down too. So we choose something that just allows us to open our doors and say to people, come on down. And there is nothing quite like Honky Tonk Angels for doing that. I have known about Honky Tonk Angels ever since we did Always Patsy Cline. Because, and this is near and dear to your heart, Benita, Ted Swinley came to Capital Rep and directed our first production of Always Patsy. And he told me he was writing this. And he was having a heck of a time getting all of the rights for all of the country music that he wanted. It's an ordeal to do that. And so, but he did it, and so I've known about the show for ever since then, which was way longer than I'm going to admit ago. But then
just call it a New York Minute, Maggie.
Yeah.
I said just call it a New York Minute.
That's right. All those New York minutes. But what happened for me is that my friend Josh Smith, who was our resident musical director for a decade, did this show with our current director, Gary John LaRosa, who is fantastic. They did a production of it up at Artistry Theater up in Vermont, where in the summer, Josh was the artistic director up there. But so I saw the show and, it's infectious. It has so many great hits of country music in it. 3 women really get to show their stuff. And so I really liked the show. And so 2 years ago, I said, this is a show we really should bring at Capital Rep. Josh had done all of the arrangements with his collaborator, Harry Lum, who's the lead guitarist in the shows. And so we had the musical arrangements, and Gary John was thrilled. He's been at Capital Rep many times as a spectator, but we've never worked together. And so it's his first time working with us. And I'm really, really happy. Now, P.S., as you know, Josh isn't with us because he is alive and well and wonderful, but he had a very bad accident a year ago, and so it doesn't allow him to be our musical director. So he's there in spirit. We have zoomed Josh into several of the rehearsals, and he has given lots of music notes, and they've made adjustments in a few arrangements because of that. And that is very heart rendering for me, because we didn't know if Josh was going to make it, so having him be able to weigh in on what he really does well, which is think about music. It was really, really great. So it's turned out it's a very funny, ridiculously funny show. And I know both of you know what ridiculously funny shows are.
Yes.
So they'll be hearing music from Loretta Lynn, Bobby
Oh,
Gentry,
yeah.
and Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Dolly Parton, there's several of her big hits in it. I mean, like 9 to 5, and she didn't write These Boots Are Made for Walking, but I Will Always Love You is a Parton song. Paradise Road is one of hers. I mean, one of the things that happened for me during Honky Tonk was just realizing how great these women composers are in country music too. Very influential in terms of just the cultural life that we have. So yeah, there's big hits by Loretta Lynn, like Coal Miner's Daughter, and there's funny songs like don't 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 come home to mama, bringing your habits from the bar along, and Harper Valley PTA. I mean, there's a lot of really fun songs mixed with this great country hit list. Like, if people like country music, they're going to love it. From everything from Stand By Your Man, as I said, to to Harbor Valley PTA. So yeah,
Maggie, what's the through
fun.
line to the show?
Pardon me?
What's the through line to the show? And I hope my audio is okay, because I am doing it on the phone.
Through line. Well, that's a funny.
Through.
Yeah,
is there a through line?
There is a story that strings all the country hits together, and that is that the three women with unsatisfying lives decide to, each one of them separately decides to go to Nashville, and they meet on the Greyhound bus, and they sing a song together in harmony, and they go, we really should become the Honky Tonk Angels. And they do. So that the story is of their friendship and how they grow together. Now, I just want to say this about the actors and about that story. When you're casting Honky Tonk Angels, you have to have people who really sing. But the real key to Honky Tonk Angels is you have to have people who sing great together. They have to sound great together because it's a group. And these particular voices on our wonderful cast, Aaron, Elizabeth, and Kara, are unbelievable when they sing together. From the moment they sang together, the blend has been, you believe that they heard themselves sing together and went, wow, we should sing together. So that has been a joyful experience, certainly in the theater. They really sound great.
And with these kind of classic songs, are they embodying a little bit of the artist that is famous for the song, or is it really kind of making it their own?
No, they you can't help but embody some of the artist because Dolly Parton is who she is. But no, they really put it into their own story. So they do not do imitations of any of these fabulously great artists. But I don't know, can you help singing Coal Miner's Daughter a little bit like Loretta Lynn? I don't know, but they make it their own, definitely. And it's part of the story. The woman who has 6 kids, who sings Stand By Your Man, she acts that. Let me put it that way.
We were talking before we began the official part of the interview, that through the years, you're now casting an understudy. And you've got somebody who's swing. They've got to cover every role. And it's a local talent, locally, homegrown. You give us a little bit about how that work is happening and a little bit about Nicole Zelke.
Okay, so I would like to just talk about the state of the American theater right now. Understudies seem like a good place to start. We are a Lord-D theater, which in our world of professional theater means we're one of the smaller professional regional theaters across the country. We're in a union unit with big guys like Lincoln Center, but we're the small ones in that bargaining unit with the unions. We never had understudies, and it was understood, all of our unions understood, that we couldn't afford to have any extra people on any show. Well, that's gone. With COVID being our pal, we simply couldn't take the risk that if somebody got COVID, we would be down for 5 days. And in our world, that is a tragic loss for us that often can't be made up. You can't automatically extend a show with professional actors. They are off in 1,000 different directions after your show closes. And also, when you're closed for COVID, everybody still gets paid. So it became obvious that we needed to find a way to have some understudies online. Now, during Jersey Boys, I will get to Nicole, who I dearly love. She was in Jersey Boys. But when we were doing Jersey Boys, our understudies were primarily cast from within the ensemble. So if one of our principals got sick, we'd pluck someone from the ensemble to go in for those parts. And then we had 2 other understudies that were outside who would go into the ensemble roles. So that was an extra 2 people on Jersey Boys. And indeed, we were hit hard by COVID. This was last year. And all of our understudies got COVID too. So we managed to rotate people through and stay open for 4 shows that would have gone bad. But after that point, we had too many people out. So we did lose 5 performances on Jersey Boys. One of our best-selling shows, certainly after the pandemic, people were really looking forward to it. So that was hard. That was hard because the best laid plans, as they say, of mice and men, it doesn't always pan out. But now I don't think there's anything, there's nothing really like a small cast show anymore, because unfortunately our payroll budget hasn't doubled, but it certainly has gone up by 1/3 because we put understudies as backups. So here we come, Honky Tonk Angels, 3 rugged singing roles. I mean, there's a lot of songs. I think there's 37 songs or something like that, and we could only afford 1 understudy. So it's Nicole Zelke, and she's been in several of our shows before. I think she is a great talent. She's a local actor who has been on national tours of Cinderella and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And she happened to be home this summer and asked if she could, audition for Swing. And she got the part, Gary John Castor, and she was absolutely won it. And if she goes on, she will be great. And it's a risk because we only have 1. So I told all the actresses to take their vitamin C. Please. And don't talk to
stay away from crowds.
Yeah, stay away. Don't go out to McGeary's. Although I love McGeary's. Don't do it. So so that's a story, and it really, really has been a huge impact for us. And difficult. It's not easy for us to add any kind of union contract to a show. It's very expensive.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Theater
and it's
probably
one of
is.
those, it's one of those hidden costs. And when you sit in the audience, you know, you don't see it, you know, you don't know it's there, but it's there. It's behind the scenes. Yeah.
Hmm. And last time we had you on the podcast, another big change before you were moving into the new space. And now you guys have been in the new space for a bit. Tell us a little bit about how the new space is working out and the changes that you feel being in the new space.
Well, you know, Miss Ellen, you've been in our
I
new
have.
space, and you did a wonderful job as Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream. One of my favorite productions that I've ever had the privilege of directing, by the way. What a fantastic group of actors we had. You know, I don't always say such things, but it was just such a blast for me.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, working with a bunch of actors who would come in and give you, well, let's just put it this way, an abundance of choices. They were very creative. But anyway, it was a very fun show. But in the new space, of course, what I like about it is that I think it's very actor friendly. Would you agree with that, Ellen?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the lack of pillars alone make a
Yeah,
big
the lack of
difference.
pillars on the stage, and also, you know, you know, in the old theater, our air conditioning hung right above the audience. It was very noisy. So being climate controlled was always extraordinarily difficult for us inside the theater. And for a show like Midsummer, it would have been almost impossible because, you know, the roar of the air conditioning was right there. I used to go up to the subscribers who sat in the last row of the theater and ask the tall guys to stand up and please click the AC off. You could just reach the switch for it right above their head. But you know, now we have a beautiful theater that is really conducive to seeing any show. And we have these fantastic dressing rooms. I mean, the dressing rooms alone make me feel better, that we can give actors a really quality experience when they're at the theater. There's a lot of space, you know, you know, there's restrooms on for both suites. And no matter how we divide it, you know, each dressing room suite has its own restroom. I mean, things like that you take for granted, that, oh yeah, that's easy. No, it's not. Certainly wasn't easy at the old theater. And I love the old theater as well. I mean, I think some of the most creative set design ever I saw in our former theater, because there were lots of issues that had to be dealt with. You know, there wasn't a right angle in that theater. And our designers would take the problem, and if you were sitting in the audience, I swear you didn't know. You know, you would never know that the back wall was, you know, 4 feet from a very large concrete thing back there. So, you know, so I praise the creativity in that space, but things they're easier in some ways in our new space. You know, we have a loading dock door to backstage. I mean, these are things people go, that's what you like about your new space, a loading dock door. And I go, yeah, you have no idea, you know. You know, in our former space, every piece of scenery had to go through the front door where people walked in. There was no big door to load scenery. So things had to be in smaller pieces and reassembled once they were, you know, inside the theater. And now we alleviate that because of we have, you know, modern things like you know, a loading dock door. So,
And there were so many bathrooms. So for the audience
yeah, right,
alone,
right.
on
Well,
one
you know,
floor.
yes, we had one, and also Benita, you worked at our former space, and you know, this is Scout visiting me. We had many times when the cast would use the restrooms that the public used, just wait for them not to be in them at intermission, and then use those. You know, so we had actors all over the place. Yeah.
And I should also, I want to give a plug. You know, I recently did a show upstairs in your Black Box Theater.
Mm.
Oh,
Which is another opportunity for folks to come to Capital Rep. Not, while definitely, the main stage is the main attraction. You've got something going on all the time. You've got the Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York in residence there and doing some wonderful work as well.
yes. The black box we use for our rehearsal space, which is really lovely because it has a space in it as big as our stage. So we do really like that. But it's flat and you can do it whatever you want with it and move the audience where it needs to be for smaller shows. One of the joys of my life is having Jean Remy Monet in our theater space. Remy is one of the people who he really is sunshine. There's just no way to describe the worldview that he has, that he brings into the room with him, even when he's having a terrible day. It's so much less terrible with Remy in it. I just love being around him, and so it was really our pleasure. Philip Morris and I really were in agreement that it would be great if we could allow Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York to have what Remy calls a permanent temporary home, because it doesn't have, it's not going to be their home forever. I'm sure that they will have their own home one day, but in the meantime, they can do shows on our main stage and in the Black Box Theater. They do 3 a year. 1 we guarantee on main stage. So and we are able to provide the troupe with any props we have and a little bit of scenic help and all the things. It's truly a great collaboration. And Remy, has a mission that I know we're talking about Capital Rep, but I love his mission to highlight and showcase Black writers and young talent in the Black community that hasn't had an opportunity necessarily to be on stage very much. So he's this great ambassador for the power of theater to change lives. And of course, I think that's what it's all about,
And normally I'm the timekeeper, but I'm going to give Ellen a cue because on the phone I don't see the time, Ellen. So you got to keep us honest.
Oh, please do, because I have my computer clock here, but yeah, keep us honest, Ellen.
Yeah, we've got about 8 minutes left. And
All right.
Maggie, I'm trying to remember, did we ever do a spotlight with you on the podcast with some questions about your connection to theater? I can't remember if we did it last time we talked to you.
Can't remember.
The close-up. It's called the close-up.
Was that? I think that was during the pandemic. Please don't ask me to remember that. I don't remember, Ellen.
Ellen, do the close-up.
We'll do the close-up just because I don't think we did. I think we were chatting about too many things. So yeah, this is our close-up segment, Maggie. Just some rapid fire questions about you. So are you ready for your close-up, Maggie?
Of course. Always.
What was a moment in your life, Maggie, where you just knew I have to be involved in the theater?
I think it really was when I was sitting in front of the head of theater at Colorado Women's College, and he told me he'd give me a full scholarship if I'd major in theater. I was an instant lover of theater. I was going to be an English lit major, by the way. That was it. I can be bought. Does everybody know that? I can be bought is the answer. And then I was in my first production in college, Tumka and the Troll. And I played a little old lady, and I was just absolutely hooked from that point in my life on. I would never give it up.
What's a show that either you've worked on or just have seen or read that had a big impact on you, and why?
Oh, gosh. The first musical I ever saw on Broadway was A Little Night Music. And I cried through the whole thing because it was so beautiful. It was overwhelming to me to see that kind of tech. I came from Denver. I bought this ticket and I watched a little night music and cried to the whole thing. I also was overcome with emotion when I saw Tennessee Williams' Night of the Iguana. Again, I'm a lit major, so it really appealed to me. Tennessee Williams plays appeal to me because they've got that literary, bent to them. But those two productions I remember really hit me hard, very hard. Yeah.
And you have a rich history of all these shows you've worked on at the Rep. Is there any show out there that you're like, you know what, one day maybe we'll get to that has like a special place in your heart, or something that you think will just work really well at the Rep?
I'd like to do a production of Amadeus. I really like that play, and I love it because it has a little Mozart opera in it, and I like plays with music in it, and fabulous costumes and really, really detailed characters. So I would like to do that show someday at the Rep in the near future, somehow. Very expensive show, by the way, for everyone's listening. That's why it doesn't make it to our list yet, because it's a very expensive little number there. So I would like to do that. There's a couple of Shakespeare's I'd like to do. I would really like to do Merchant of Venice. It's one of my favorite Shakespeare's, and it's a problem play as it's defined, and it is a problem play. I mean, what it deals with in terms of discrimination, and how Shylock is represented, and a lot of other things, and still keep it in Shakespeare's version of a comedy, really, is hard. But I like those kind of hard plays. I'd like to do Merchant one day.
And on the podcast, we've had a lot of actors that sometimes we've asked them, what's your advice to up and coming actors? But you being in an administrative role and a creative role in the Rep, what's your advice for people who pursue that career of artistic director and head of it all?
Go see plays and read a lot. Read a lot. Don't be an informed citizen. Know your history. Expand your mind. Because that's really what it takes. If you want to be an artistic leader in this world, you have to have some kind of vision for what you want the world to be, and then you're going to aim at it. And through your choices and how you work, you're going to try to fulfill that vision. And so, all the little things have to add up to that one big thing that you need to go for. So I think it's really important. Read plays, go to plays, be positive. Always try to find one good thing in anything that you see. I tell people this a lot. When you go to the theater and you don't like it all the time, that you find fault with everything you see, I ask this question: then why are you in it? Mm-hmm. You're not the only one. Here's my end statement. When I went into college, I really thought I was the best. I absolutely believe that. I was the best. I was the best. I was going to be the best director. I could be the best actor. I just didn't want to be. And I could be the best of everything. And what I learned, especially as I moved on and went to grad school, I went to grad school in New York City. And I will just tell you what I really learned. There's a lot of best people out there. There's a lot of wonderful people who you can tap, and you can get into their minds, and you can rub elbows with, and you can support and know their work in a wonderful way in the theater. So I don't think I'm the best, but I think I can recognize the best. So.
Well, Maggie, we think you're pretty darn good. So
well, thanks. I think you guys are pretty darn good too. So mutual.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time today, and everybody, go get a good laugh. We've talked a lot about how theater goers now want to be entertained and uplifted, and you're definitely doing that with Honky Tonk Angels. So go add a smile and some delight to your summer, and book a ticket, go down and hum along, but quiet.
That's right.
Very
Thank
quietly.
you both. Bye.
Thank you so much, Maggie. For our listeners, I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Be well.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything,